I'm going to do another one. I think the other one was see what you feel, what you see, and then this one see what you feel. I think it's respond to what you feel, or it might evolve. Plus the fact that towards the end of this, YouTube did its usual of dropping the connection. It's not strong enough or whatever, stable enough. Usual sort of thing, but to be expected with YouTube. I'm going to do another one on these boards. I might as well use these boards up rather than, as I said earlier, throw them away or burn them or use them as folders. But I've got quite a few of these things. There's another one now. This one's slightly different colour. That's because they're cheap. It's just that you get, so I'm going to draw on this one now. You get the. It's be a different batch. That's why it's a different colour. We try and get the. I can't get them. Get another one. Hold on. Let me get another one. There were loads of them down here. There's another one. So can I get this one? Not without. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Right. So, same. I couldn't find the darker. There's one underneath it that's even darker. I think that's too dark. The reason why I didn't do it on that one, as you can see, it's different pack, was because of this is the same colour as the previous one. Because of the only thing I got is those at the time. I still can't find. Excuse me. I can find a lighter one, but it'd be kind of like drawing in white. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. Not sure I want to do that, but I might end up doing that or drawing in red. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Or orange. These won't stand off. I wouldn't think these would stand off. You see that's not good, is it? You can hardly see it. That's the red. And then there's a orange. We can get away with the orange, I think, because it's lighter. And then there's a very light, almost invisible. That one. The previous one, the orange one, was probably the best one to do it with, as opposed to the others. But if I make a mark with the brown, you'll see the difference. Look. Those two are probably density-wise probably the same. But yeah, I think I'm going to do this one probably in the brown, and then we'll shift to different colours. I thought I had a dark grey one, but hang on a minute. I have. There, look at that one, dark grey. Let's do it in that. Quite like the brown, but I'm going to do it in this one. Yeah, I think I got to the nub, so to speak, of what I was trying to get across earlier, of the importance of feeling what you're connecting and feeling what you're trying to capture. I was drinking my Yorkshire tea. That's my Yorkshire tea. It's, as I said this morning, it's something that I think I've been more aware of it because of the way that I work with this is not, it's not outcome driven, and I think that's the thing. I think if it'd been outcome driven, it's got to be this good and that good, and got to be, competition, this and that and the other, then I think I'd have been different about it, and I would have failed miserably. I know I would. I would have just got down about it and pressure and all the usual sort of things. And because I didn't want that to happen, I suppose in a way it was when I stopped drawing, it was a mental breakdown type of thing, a creative mental breakdown. I was frustrated by it, hated it, and didn't want to do it anymore, and usual sort of things. They're exactly the same as everybody else goes through. The difference was that I just stopped, and again, a lot of people do that. So I think that's probably why I didn't want to go down that route of technique and being good enough, and do the same as other people, and therefore, because if you do it the way other people do it, or do it in the way other people do it, an outcome like other, there's always the comparison looms over, because it's it's that one thing that inspires you to. This is why you should never let other artists' work inspire you. You can admire other artists' work. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they inspire you, they become almost the template by which you're going to judge your own work. And if you've got, the only way to counter that, I think, is to like everything. It's just like everything, every for all what it's worth, have an eclectic view of what this is about, and I like, as I say, I like everything. And you'll never run into the problem of comparison, because who do you compare to? This one or that one? It's that kind of thing. But because I haven't got any of those outcome-based expectations, and this thing about why do you do it? I do it because it brings me joy. It's all hinged on emotional components, and I think that the first thing that dawned on me was that when I was doing this was that when people talk what is creativity, and I immediately thought of it as an intuition and instinct rather than a cultivated thing, a practiced and rehearsed and knowledge-based thing. So I suppose in a way all of it has always been about when I come back to it wasn't years ago, but since I've come back to it, it's always been about the emotional aspect, the emotional side of things, and my response to face, and which is why I carry on drawing faces. As I said this morning, there's this, if you want to understand about connecting to a subject, the easiest thing in the world is to connect to another face, because you can give Jennifer, as I call this one, a persona just by simply giving them a name, and that's brilliant. I don't know any Jennifers personally, but I know the famous Jennifers, obviously. Not that I'm going to particularly imbue any kind of personality based on those celebrities, but it helps if the name is a name of somebody you've met or you've known, or you currently know. That's a great way that you can manifest their persona. But as I say, it's I said this morning, though, it's the previous one. It's kind of like stuff that I think people know already. I just don't think people accept or recognize it. It's just it's part of it, yeah. But the most important bit to a lot of people is the mechanical aspect of it. The doing of it, and the learning to do it. The process, as I said earlier, learning the process. When I first started drawing the portraits, hair was always a daunting thing. And in the same way, I'm talking about, recognizing the emotional drivers, and that common sense kind of feel that solution has. I just thought, well, the best thing to do with hair is not to try and draw it. If it's a problem, because I hated drawing hair, if it's a problem, then don't try and draw it. In fact, don't draw it. And then when I got this is before reading Robert and Ryan, he said that, it's the most important thing, but you should never try and draw it. So, well, that's a funny thing, isn't it? So we all kind of came to the same conclusion. and my motives were simply the fact that I couldn't be bothered to draw it. You know, I don't think I think it's more intellectual. Mine would just be, oh, I can't be bothered to draw that, you know, and so that's really where it came from. And now I just have this thing of hair being a bunch of tones, you know, and they're all sort of varying intensity to create what appears to be curls and waves and whatever else. And the other thing as well is that in the you know the mood thing, in the emotional connection thing, sometimes hair, all it does is it frames the face. It's not, sometimes it's not that important. Sometimes it is the most important thing. And I've drawn heads from the back where it is all about the hair. But sometimes it's not. And that kind of thinking was part of the, when I, in the early days, I was looking at other charcoal artists and thinking, you know, what they're doing with, where they have, you know, the photographic face and the mayhem of charcoal that represents the hair, those kind of artists. And it dawned on me that, because I didn't like it, because I didn't like the contrast. I still don't like the contrast between the two. It's either that's mayhem and that's mayhem, or that's photographic and that's photographic. I can't, you know, I can't sit with it. It's too much of an illustration when it becomes like that, and a skill, you know, showing off the skills. But seeing that the mayhem thing to show hair kind of worked, it got me thinking then that, you know, it's they're inadvertently, I think it may not, I think it's deliberate, but inadvertently they're saying that the hair isn't that important. It's just simply a mass of something that frames the face. So that was, I know, that was how I first started drawing hair, and I think I've drawn hair like that ever since. The thing is that it's the tonal side of things. You've got to create, it's back to this understanding tones thing. You have to create the, you know, the three tones, the three, the dark, the mid, and the light. You have to do that. That's what, and that creates the forms the curls. That's all it is. It's not really a case of, because someone said to me, and what triggered a lot of it, my thinking, my clarification, which it always does when Ken said about this, inevitably you're going to end up wanting to draw more. It kind of clarifies my thinking. And this person has said, if you were a hairdresser, you would never draw hair like that. And my response was, thank God I'm not a hairdresser, because I want to draw hair perfectly in, you know, in light of my in-depth knowledge of hairstyles, you know. So I didn't, you know, it was just one of those things. It kind of clarified, I say, clarified my my thinking. But as I said, I still hate drawing hair. It's always that thing that I think, oh crikey, I'm gonna draw all of that hair. As I say, now it's the same thing, but I don't care now. I never really cared before, but I care even less now. So this pencil's pretty good. As you can say, it's a bit charcoal-esque, and I'm deliberately doing that. You know, there's no detail on it. I'm deliberately doing that, which I kind of knew it would happen because of the nature of the end of it. I know I'm using it on its side and all that, and you're getting some of that coming through, but it's still, for me, it's still, as opposed to a piece of charcoal where there is more than the line. You know, it's you can see it's a linear thing. It's that the previous one was a linear thing, so I kind of knew that it was going to be about the lines, you know, as opposed to, you know, the areas of tone that, you know, I would normally employ with charcoal. And it's just that I didn't have any charcoal. I haven't got any charcoal left that's suitable. It's all been a bit scratchy and things. But, you know, I'll make some more today and then back on the charcoal again. I don't like working in charcoal. I think it's just the dimension of tones. That's not the thing, and not the I don't get it with this is not bad though. With this being quite abrasive, this surface of this is quite coarse, rough. It means that I can get varying degrees of tone, and it's just a matter of pressure. That's all that's doing it. But yeah, I think if I'm going to make it work, it's going to have to be quite dense on the, on this kind of side, this the hair like that. If it's going to work. Actually, thinking about the persona aspect of it, this girl is the spit of a girl that works in a local charity shop, and so I'm kind of relating to her as that person that, and I see her on Friday when I go and get my kefir milk from the Polish shop. But yeah, only ever talked to her in the shop when we bought something from the shop, but it's definitely that person, and it just helps. Going back to the emotional side of it, it just helps because it's her that I'm seeing. She's very she's quite aggressive, in the shop. She's a nice girl, but she's just abrupt and a little bit aggressive. It's okay. It's okay. I think it's wonderful that young people will volunteer to work in a charity shop. The wife did it for a while, and being a fashion designer, the word got out that she worked in this shop. So if you went in, there was quite a few young girls that used to go in, and it happened once with one of these young girls, and I think it was at the time when she was lecturing at the same time, and these girls would go in, and Janet would put together a collection for these girls, or how to tell them how to wear it and all that sort of thing, which is brilliant. That's exactly what should happen with these charity shops, and it got really busy. Really, the girls would come along, and Janet was only in sort of one day a week, I think, and in the end, it closed down in the end. I don't think they were making enough money. It must be a terrible, it would be really difficult to make something like that work. Getting people to donate, it must be a nightmare. There's only so much people will give, isn't there? But yeah, this one that we're going where this girl works is fantastic. I mean, they have like some amazing stuff in. That's designer stuff. Designers who donate to charity, basically, shoes and all brand new, So, and it's a fraction of the cost of the designer prices, So, anyway, as I said, I think the last video got the point across of the feeling, the way you feel about somebody. Has to be the prime driver to the way you respond, to the way you capture, whether it's the way you make the lines, because the feel. Now this is a weird thing, and I don't know how to explain this thing, but the way something feels. And I suppose the way I could explain it is that if it's a male, an old crusty old man, or it's got, some kind of peculiarity about it, whether it's a hat or it's a beard or whatever it might be, it will result in a different response. It should result in a different response. The trouble is that people have this idea that every thing they draw will have the same, or paint will have the same vibe. It shouldn't do if it's a portrait, should it? Really, if you think about it, every portrait should be different. It should be in both execution and the feel of it. But the problem is that because portraiture is built on production, it can never have a different feel every time, because people will become safe in their execution, their methods, and they'll always use those methods to create, and ultimately it's all about replication at that stage. It's never, and then trying to bring in some kind of emotional aspect of it once you've got the replication down. So the whole thing is a little bit messed up. And when I come along and say, well, it's just about, you just got to feel your way through a portrait, it's counter. It seems weird, and people will say, oh, it's just nonsense. It's just, you can't draw. It's basically what they'll say, and that's what people say to me. You can't draw. That's the problem. And you know what I say to them? I don't care. I don't care what you think. Which is part and parcel of the whole, emotional journey thing. But it's funny how it's artists that will criticize me rather than it being. Although, yeah, I do get a general public saying it as well. Especially the people who think that's just a load of scribbles, a load of lines. But as I said, I don't really care. But I think at the end of the day, it's the reason why I'm so adamant about this is because it works, right? And I want other people to feel how it works as well. I don't want people to get bogged down with technique and skill and all the things that people tell you it should be. I don't want people bogged down by that, because it's we're never going to be great masters of something. We're never going to get paid fortunes for doing it. It's just for fun, and that's the thing. It's like, I listened to a song this morning talking about, if there's no fun in your life, then you're not doing it right. Can't remember now. It's an old song. I should dig it out and have it on in the background. Somebody said the other day, your videos would be great with some music on them. Can you imagine? Go YouTube and absolutely. I mean, it's a bag of what's the names anyway. YouTube. You can imagine they'd have an absolute dicky fit with copyrights. It'd be copyright this and copyright that. It just, I don't know. It'd be crazy. So yeah, no, I'm not going to put any music on it. I'm finding music as well. That would be the fun part. I could put Jackson's music on, but it won't be fair on Jackson, because it's like, his music is music. It's not music. It's not meant for playing in lifts. It's actual music. So I wouldn't degrade his creative work by putting it as a background to my drawings. Anyway, it's done this one. I like the pastel, the grey pastel on this colour. I think I like it better. It's got a bit of a charcoal feel, hasn't it? So I'm going to probably do the next one. It's a reasonable length as well, so I'm going to do the next one in this as well. So we'll. So at the end of the day, I'm going to end up with, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. So I'm going to end up with 7 by the end of the day. 7 of these cardboard portraits. Portraits on cardboard. In fact, I saw a guy the other day who paints massive. He takes a box apart, flattens it all off, and he creates massive portraits on them. They're absolutely astounding, these things. And so it might be me. If I had room, I'd do that. Just big oils on boxes that have been flattened. So yeah, I can see that being a thing. If I ever get to a point where I got a studio, you know, somewhere I could do this standing up, then that's what I'd do. Having recycled whatever, and I'd be painting on it, you know, in a kind of, and I claim it was my reason, you know, recycling is my part of my art. I'd do all that, you know, pretend it makes sense, when really I'm just skint and I can't afford any paper to draw on. That's the truth of it. Right, I love you, leave you. I'll catch you in another one in a bit, not long. I'm just going to find another reference, and then yeah. So as I said, I think I more or less nailed it with the other one, but I was worried that the end of it got cut a bit short because of, you know, YouTube doing its usual kind of playing up thing. But I think I nailed it. This you know, feeling is the, you know, the subject is the way to connect properly with the subject and ultimately create a portrait that has more life in it. So, but I think I got to that. I just, as I say, was worried that I missed it because of YouTube doing its thing. Right. As I said, I'll see you in a bit, and I'll find another reference. Probably not in this vein. There weren't that many of this girl. The previous one was this girl as well, so just for a different angle. But there weren't that many of them, so probably not her again. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah.